Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is your brother Nafis Abu Zayd.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Isa Abu Isa, and we're on another episode of the Night Shift, alhamdulillah, which has been established to fight cult characteristics, Hizbiyya, Hadadiyya, and defend the honor of the Muslims.
This here is an exclusive interview with our brothers, one of our brothers' esteemed guests from the UK. His name is Dr. Abdul haqq Baker. Hafidhullah, may Allah preserve him. He has a P.H.D in political studies. He will be giving us what is titled Once Upon a Time in England, a historical background to what we know as now as the Salafi publications, but what it was before then, and some of the different things that we've seen or have how this issue, how we are at where we at now, how it developed and so forth like that. May we wish Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How you doing, Sheikh? Do you mind giving us in the audience a little bit of background about yourself, as far as your name, your studies, education, inshallah?
No problem. Yeah, Abdul haqq Baker, Abu Yusuf, mashallah. I converted to Islam in 1990, mashallah, tabarakallah, with a group of brothers who I grew up with, alhamdulillah. I was chairman of Brixton Mosque for 15 years, still a trustee at the moment of the masjid there, the first convent masjid in South London, mashallah, tabarakallah. A little bit about myself: I've got an MBA in education, and I've got a P.H.D in political studies, which focused at looking at convert communities of Muslims, at our susceptibility to extremism, or our resilience to extremism, and how we could be bridge builders in the non-Muslim West between the Muslim communities and the non-Muslim communities, mashallah, tabarakallah. I'm now living in Saudi. I've been here for 15 years in educational management, but I've also continued to be involved in the dawah, various projects like Street, dealing with the youth, radicalization, and social development. Mashallah, tabarakallah.
Barakallahu feek, jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillah.
Well, yeah.
Okay, as far as your time in Saudi Arabia, what are some of the different things that you have came across besides sitting with the ulama or things like that, or studying, within your studies? Do you teach in like a school there, a part of a school or something? Abdul haqq. Internet connection. Now, so you said?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead now.
Now, so alhamdulillah, I've been in for most of the 15 years, mashallah. Working in schools, universities, institutes like that, alhamdulillah. But one of the important things, I think, being in Saudi has helped me to actually understand how to practice the deen in its totality. And I think that's an important thing that many brothers and sisters have learned living in a predominantly Muslim country. And that's been a blessing there. Being part of a majority faith society, it means that you don't go to extreme in behavior and even Aqidah, mashallah, tabarakallah.
No,
alhamdulillah. Now, what's some of the ulama that you have met were able to benefit from?
Now, when I first came over, and it's an interesting perspective, because when I first came over in 2002, from Fiddle in Brixton, where Sheikh Salim al-Hilali had revealed certain things that had taken place over here. So some of the brothers knew I was coming, and they put it towards you that I was, and that I was with the Jordanians, and a whole lot of other things, mostly untrue. But when I came, I visited Sheikh Rabi' a number of times in some of the public gatherings, and we had private meetings as well.
You got static?
Go down, which Now,
All right, you have some static. If you can just repeat a little bit of that. You have static. This was in the online. I guess the connection.
Yeah.
no problem. As I was saying, when I came over in 2002, there was a lot going on with regards to the conference that we just held in Brixton in August. I came over in September, and therefore I was going down to meet some of the shuyukh like Sheikh Rabi', rahimahullah. When I was going to Medina as well, I'd meet some of the shuyukh like Sheikh Khalid Radadi. I'd go and see shuyukh like that, mashallah, tabarakallah. Once or twice I met Sheikh Mohammed ibn Hadi. This is why I say now, at this stage, I had my issue with him for me. I would say openly, saying that I was untruthful because I only met him 2 or 3 times and there's no evidence for what he had said. But anyway, meeting some of the shuyukh, I was meeting Sheikh Rabi' in 2002, 2003, a few times going down, discussing things, the differences between Brixton and the differences between Maktaba Salafiyah. The Sheikh would give some very advice. He made 1 or 2 bayans on particular occasions. I went and saw him privately a few times as well, mashallah, tabarakallah, with Sheikh Mohammed Maliki, and we spoke privately, and there were recordings that Sheikh Mohammed Maliki came out afterwards and would translate and tell us some of the commendable things that would be said by Sheikh Rabi concerning us. But one of the things that we were upon in Brixton, we are not in this for a game to go and seek praises from sheikhs and then go advertising and maximizing and marketing them, because it's not a game. This is the deen we're talking about. This is Salafiyah. Some of the things we were with Sheikh Rabi', we didn't advertise, not because we were admonished, because he didn't admonish us, but we weren't into this showmanship that we see happening so much these days.
No.
No, alhamdulillah.
Okay, inshallah ta'ala. Now the floor is yours. You can go into the Once Upon a Time in England. I believe you have some treats for us, inshallah.
Naam, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Anyway, yeah.
I felt it important to give an historical perspective, because as we know, when individuals and groups want to write their own history, they often lie. And let's give a clear example. Look at how black history has been whitewashed from Europe, America, and everywhere. Okay? Like, as though our history only began as slaves. So now we're seeing a different whitewashing regarding Salafiyah in the West. And Salafiyah did not begin in 1998 or 1996 with this group, with this cult, as I call them. Many of us became Muslims in 1990. And what I've done, because I can make claims, anyone can make claims, but we need to be bringing evidence. So for example, what I did, and I will show you here, I became Muslim with a number of my friends and colleagues from my area, South London, in 1990. And I'm just going to show here. I've kept my original notes and folders and printouts from my teachers at that time. This folder I'm holding here, I've got dates from some of our classes of 20th of May 1990, 22nd of June 1990, talking about the meaning of Salah in Arabic, ayat of the Quran, fiqh of wudu, Salah, everything. So this is evidence. I've kept one thing is important, is the evidence to show. So from 1990, a group of us embraced Islam, and we went to Brixton Masjid Ibn Taymiyyah. After just been taken, the building had just been got by the elders at that time.
Somebody said the volume too low.
So the largest group at that time that came into the masjid and started learning Salafiyah from Sirat Abdul Malik, rahimahullah, from America. Who is Sirat? Who was Sirat Abdul Malik? And his wife, Aisha. Right. They were from Iraq, was very close to.
Yeah,
Hey, Abdul haqq.
Now,
You're breaking up a little bit.
Is it the audio? We need to make sure we hear the audio. It's kind of fuzzy.
how's it sounding now?
That's better. So start back from Sarat.
Abu Dawood said put the phone close to the
Sirat
speaker.
Abdul Malik was our teacher
To the speaker.
when we embraced Islam in 1990. Sirat Abdul Malik was from America, and he was very close with Sheikh Abdul Rauf. Sheikh Abdul was doing that at the time. I believe he's back in now. So from day one, we started learning Dawah Salafiyah. However, the Abdul Malik rahimahullah did not put a name on it, and I'll explain why very shortly. We were learning from the very first week. We would have 2 or 3 lessons a week. On a Sunday, I believe, on Wednesday, and on a Friday after Jummah. And we were learning the prayer, we were learning the short surahs, we were learning the fiqh of wudu, but we were reading from Sahih Muslim, reading hadith about seeing Allah Yawmul Qiyamah like we see the moon. We were about the names of Shuyukh, Sheikh Ibn Baz, Sheikh Husayni, Sheikh Al-Albani, and this put a love in our hearts from the very beginning. We showing evidence. Everything we were learning, we were being shown evidence. Now, as we were learning about it, some of our brothers were going to some other study circles, and they were coming back and saying, we need to start using the name Salafi. So we were asking why. Why do we need to use the word Salafi? We're all on the same thing. We could see we were all on Quran, Sunnah, Fahm of the Salaf. But they explained what Sheikh Al-Albani said. Now, I spoke to Surat Abdul Malik, and he said to me, and he said to the brothers, the reason I haven't used the term Salafi is because I saw what happened when we went to Sudan. Abdul Rauf and some of the brothers, I think Abdul Rauf went with him to Sudan. And when they started using the term Salafi, he said that was the beginning of the end there because they started splitting. So he said, I don't...
Hold up. Abdul haqq. Yeah, go back to when they got to Sudan.
Now, when they got to Sudan, Abdul Malik told me that when the term Salafiyah started being used when he was out there, he saw it being the beginning of the end because of the splitting. Because people were more caught up with the name than with the practice. So he was worried that we were going to get caught up using the name and not continue learning the usuls and everything like this. But he accepted that we were following what Sheikh Al-Albani had said concerning using the name Salafiyah. So from that time, mashallah, we knew we were upon Salafiyah, and that's all we've been learning from Surat Abdul Malik, mashallah, tabarakallah. But an organization called Jamaat, Jamia Ihya Minhaj Sunnah, which was headed by Abu Muntazir, that was a group that was really pushing the Dawah Salafiyah clearly in name up and down the country. So we became a part of that. The study circles, traveling around the country, tapping into a growing group of Salafis, mashallah, tabarakallah. And of those, the people who belonged to that group were a lot of us and many of the brothers from Birmingham. And we were very, very tight. At this time, Abu Khadija wasn't even around. Nobody knew. Abu Bakr were there, Abdul haqq Bilal David, Yusuf Bowers, Abu Talha. Abu Talha was on the shura of this Jamaat, mashallah, tabarakallah, one of the leading brothers. In those days now, we would travel to Birmingham, we would travel to Middlesbrough, they would travel to London. We were not running Brixton Masjid at the time, so we couldn't have study circles with Jamaat there at the time. We were going to our local study circles, mashallah, tabarakallah, learning in that way. Alhamdulillah, this I want to share, and I think it's very important. So Salafiyah was in the UK from 1990. So much so that in 1992, when I did my first Umrah, and I met Sheikh Abdul Rauf, mashallah, tabarakallah, and he gave nasiha. Surat was the one who introduced him to us. We then went and sat with some of the mashayikh in Medina, Salafi scholars. Also, we met Abu Usama al-Zahabi at that time, who was studying in Medina. He and I hit up a very good and tight relationship, so much so that he started sending me recordings from Medina, 1992. Here are some of the cassettes, and called The Lessons from the Life of Musa, alayhi salam. I'm showing this evidence because the lie that Salafiyah did not come into the UK or was not being promoted in the UK until this cult, Maktab al-Salafiyah, came about, is that it is a lie, mashallah, tabarakallah. So much so that I want to share with you as well. I have a talk here that when I used to start giving talks up and down the country from 1992, we used to go up to Birmingham. There used to be conferences in Green Lane Masjid because there was no other masjid at that time. It was the Al Hadith Masjid, and all of us used to be together. We used to sleep overnight there, conferences there. We were close with Abdul haqq and the brothers in Birmingham, mashallah, Pakistani brothers, black brothers, very close. Again, at this time, no Abu Khadija. I have to emphasize that. No Abu Khadija, Wahid Alam. There's a talk I have here where they invited me to come and give a talk on the 26th of November, 1994. The talk was on Bid'ah. Bid'ah Hasna, good or bad. This is the talk. You may not be able to see it clearly. I'm showing these pages, handwritten notes from the talk in Birmingham, and I was called to do one 2 months later. I'm showing this, brothers and sisters, so you can see that there is evidence that before this group came about, we were together as Salafis. Yes, there were issues. So, for example, when we started leaving Jimas, we had issues with Abu Muntazir. It became clear to us that Jimas was a his. How do I mean a his? Because when we joined Jimas, we were asked to give amana, not a bayah, but an amana, to say that we would be with the Jama'ah, we would do everything for the Jama'ah. And this was, I believe, the blueprint for what has become Abu Khadija's cult now. Because this Jimas wanted to make sure that everything that was done by us went through Jimas. So, for example, when I became chairman in 1994 of Brixton, Abu Muntazir said I should do everything through him. And I refused, because I said Brixton is a community. It is a community. You cannot put a community through your organisation. When some brothers broke off and formed Al-Hidayah Publishing in Birmingham, Saeed and Naeem, brothers, very nice brothers, Abu Muntazir tried to control that. When the book, the Prophet's Prayer, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, described Sifat Salah Nabi, when that was translated by Usama Hassan, who is now on something else, he wanted to control everything. And also, we would not believe someone to be Salafi if they would not join Jamaat. This is how it was at that time. And mashallah, jazakallah khair to a brother who is now with the cult, sadly, but Farhat Abbas Abu Yahya. He travelled to Jordan, sat with the Jordanian Mashayikh, and came back and explained to Abu Muntazir and others that we were his, and this could not continue in this way. And we remember at one conference, Abu Muntazir tried to expose and denigrate Farhat Abbas Abu Yahya for bringing this out to everyone. And we used to joke at that time that Abu Yahya, Farhat Abbas, was a walking shaheed, because he's opened our eyes that we were actually part of a his, because the Jordanian Mashayikh had mentioned now started having issues, and we started moving away from Jamaat. Okay? Abu Khadija came on the scene at the stage that Jamaat was starting to fall apart. He became a very firm Jamaat adherent, very close to Abu Muntazir. He travelled to the States with Abu Muntazir for a conference. Why do I know this? Because when he returned, I remember him calling me. This would have been around 94, 95, asking me to take over the leadership of Jamaat. And I said, I don't want any leadership of Jamaat. I've got enough responsibilities as the leader and chairman of Brixton Mosque, mashallah, tabarakallah. Now, as the dissension grew with Jamaat, as a group, the Salafis all agreed that we had to have a big meeting to decide the way forward. And we had a meeting in Rabita, okay, in Good Street in London. And the Salafis came from all over the country, and Sheikh Suhaib Hassan presided over that meeting. Abu Muntazir came, the Birmingham brothers came, we came, we all sat, and we wanted Sheikh Suhaib to arbitrate and deal with this particular meeting. Everyone got to speak, more or less, but one of the stand-up comments and occasions, Abu Khadija and the brothers who were with him, he was very vocal and he was very, very harsh with Sheikh Suhaib. And one of the things they were harsh with Sheikh Suhaib was, and why they didn't want to take from him, is because Sheikh Suhaib had married his daughter to an Ikhwani. That was what came out of that particular meeting.
Mm.
So this meeting finished conclusively, and things started moving away in the race. But I want to hear, during these early stages, prior to Abdul Haqq's presence, because he came into Salafiyah already established and growing, mashallah, tabarakallah, when we've had link up and has met some of the shuyukh, friends, mashallah, tabarakallah. One thing was clear, and I want to say this, Abdul Haqq, without David, mashallah, he was a brother much loved, and we were close. Yusuf Bowers, Abu Junaid, much loved, close. Yusuf Bowers, Abu Junaid, actually lived in our community in Brixton for a short while, because he married an American sister who was an educationist, and we asked her to be the head of our new school in Brixton. So he moved down to Brixton, and he was spending his time there and in Birmingham. And Abu Junaid was very close to us in those instances. Again, we used to be between Birmingham and London, and we were tight. And there was no rivalry between us and our brothers in Birmingham. We were close, mashallah, tabarakallah. The distancing started happening after this individual joined. This is when we started seeing things pulling apart. I have no hatred for Abdul Haqq or Yusuf Bowers, and each of other individuals were not part of from Birmingham. We did things together. We got into things together. Seriously. And we would call upon each other. That was how tight the brotherhood was between us and our brothers in Birmingham, around Middlesbrough, and everywhere else. But that single, my personal opinion, and I may be criticised for it, my personal opinion is after this individual came amongst everyone, things started very
and this is Abu Khadija you're talking about, correct? This is Abu Khadija you're talking about.
Abu Khadija.
Okay.
So you said when Abu Khadija came around, this one, the division came. When Abu Khadija came around, this was the division.
Yes, my personal opinion, from my observation, when he joined, and he came at a time when there was splitting from Jamaat, and no other Jamaat was being formed. We were at Brixton. They had advice from Abu Anas from Kuwait, who told them, and they told us, stick with the brothers in Brixton because of what we were doing. We had the brothers from Reading with us. Brothers from Reading, we used to go down to them. They used to come up to us, even when we sat with Sheikh Rabi' by this time. And I remember sitting with him, and one of the brothers, Naveed from Reading, who we used to be very close to, he asked him about Sheikh Ahmed Awais, the Somali Sheikh who was teaching in Brixton at the time. And Sheikh Rabi' asked him in that sitting, how far is your city? How long does it take you to go from your city in Reading to Masjid Ibn Taymiyyah in Brixton? He said 45 minutes to an hour. He said then you must go and sit in Masjid Ibn Taymiyyah at the classes of Sheikh Ahmed Dahir Awais. He was a student of mine. I was sitting in front of Sheikh Rabi', as were the brothers, when this was said. So we were all together at this particular time. We were all together. But Reading started splitting off from us due to what they were hearing from Abu Khadija and the brothers. I would say here as well, when this all started to happen and the splitting started, every time we have a conference or they have a conference, we had many sittings, Islah. The shuyukh used to call them down, and we'd sit in the school next door to the masjid. We'd have Salafis coming from all over the country, including Murad al-Jazair, who they likened at the time, he was part of them, who they likened at the time to Yahya ibn Ma'in, Yahya Ma'in of the UK. This was the title that was given to this Murad al-Jazair. We've just seen that Dr. Abdul haqq, visiting Sheikh Rabi', Hafizahullah, has likened Sheikh Rabi' to Yahya Ma'in of this era as well. I'm only mentioning this to show what I believe is the behaviour of these individuals. You've heard in the tapes, the recordings that I've done about cultism, behavioural extremism. This is what started coming from these individuals. During that time, the late 90s now, we had some of them coming down to Brixton and recording some of our lectures when we had some of the shuyukh coming down. And one individual in particular called Zain al-Abidin. We used to get on very well with him, very nice guy. He used to come down, we'd give him our cassettes, we'd record them, and he'd take them back up to Birmingham. No problem, we didn't have an issue with that. But one day, surprisingly to some of us, when we went to one of the conferences in Birmingham and bought some tapes, getting back down to London, playing some of those tapes, we realised they were our tapes that had been given different titles and different labels. We didn't complain. We thought it was very strange. We saw the business ploy from there, but we thought this was very, very disingenuous. Now, continuing. When Oasis was started, Abdul and his brothers consist of Abdul haqq, Suhaib Hassan, Abu Sufyan, Abu Alia, Abdul haqq, Ilyas Kermani, Amjad Rafiq, a whole lot of names to show that we were all coming under this organisation, or we all were going to be a part of this organisation. That was in 1990. I saw the play though. I didn't turn up. I wasn't going to turn up because I saw that as a power move at that time, and others saw it as a power move at that time. So, Ikhwan, what is very, very important, and I'll come back to that, we've got events and documentation here showing that Salafiyah was growing and that there were Salafis. We were upon Salafiyah right from 1990 up to before the time that Abu Khadija even raised his head. We have the occasion when we took over Brixton in 1993. There was a time where we had an occasion on the 2nd of May 1993 called Black Sunday. Why? What happened on that day? The management of the masjid up to that point was not Salafi. Even who were attending, they were Salafi. They raised their heads as Murabitul Sufis, and the community rebelled against that. So on the 2nd of May, when we had Black Sunday, many of us turned up. You had all kinds of people coming there. Hezbollah Tahrir, the Shia, some of the Shia were turning up there, Nation of Islam was sitting. Everyone wanted to get their foot in the door of Brixton Mosque, at the time as it was called. And I've got recordings here, and we've done research, and we've got interviews with our elders and other individuals, and there are recordings that document what took place. You can hear the discussions, the argumentation, and we put it into an issue document. This book here, put together by our brothers, a call from the towers about the ignorance of Yusuf Bowers. Why did we title it that? Why did we entitle it that? Because Yusuf Bowers tried to whitewash Salafi history by saying and giving a lecture and lying in that lecture about where Salafiyah came from. Also in that lecture, he tried to big up the first Salafi chairman of the mosque, strong brother, mashallah, strong leader. I don't like him, he doesn't like me, we don't get on. Abu Sufyan, mashallah, tabarakallah, used to be a part of Jimad. But he became the first Salafi chairman of Brixton after this Black Sunday, because we elected him as the chairman. But what Yusuf Bowers Abu Junaid did was he lied and said that Abu Sufyan kicked out the Sururis, the Qutubis, and everything like that. And if you refer to my cultist tendencies, his recordings, you'll see that wasn't actually the case. Because he invited Abdul Rahman Abdul Talib, Ali Tamimi, these individuals, Abdullah As-Sabt, they were invited at this time. So when the Maktaba want to accuse me and others of being Qutubi, Ikhwani, Sururi, and all of this stuff here, it was people from among them who had invited these people when they were in position in Brixton. Likewise, with the lies of Abdullah Lahmami, that for 20 odd years he had been calling and inviting Brixton away from the Dalal. I want to show you something here. This is the brochure of the Dawrah that we did in August 2001 in Brixton. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah seminar, where we had Sheikh Mohammed Musa Nasser, Sheikh Ali Hassan, Sheikh Salim al-Hilali, Sheikh Usama Kursi, and Abdullah was one of those who signed up and attended this course and received this certificate at the end, the Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah seminar certificate from the Markaz al-Imam al-Bani, studies of math research. and it was stamped by the shuyukh, the 4 shuyukh. And Abdullah, even, this shows you the guile of the individual, we have the reports on each of the disciplines that we study. This is mine. So fiqh and usul, ulum al-hadith, aqidah, ulum al-Quran, the mark that we got for the tests at the end, and the grading. So I got excellent, very good, excellent, very good, oh, very good. Abdullah came in to remonstrate with Abdul haqq from Luton, who was one of the organisers with us, to increase his grades. He's in the top grade, so he came in and I want a higher grade. No, that was a mistake on my paper. I meant this. And after some discussion, the small adjustment was made. I'm spending time on this to show you the disingenuity of these individuals. After this seminar, mashallah tabarakallah, which was the first of its kind in Masjid Ibn Taymiyyah, Brixton, I was standing with Abdullah outside, and he was so impressed, and he kept saying, this is ill. This is ill. This is ill. But a year later, in Saudi, was doing 4 Sheikh Rabi and criticizing the seminar and saying he had been advising us and criticizing one of the from I warned these brothers, I told them, this is Abdullah. This is Abdullah who continued to sit in front of Sheikh Rabi until the point when he tried to warn against Sheikh Awais, who the Sheikh had said, let him attend his study circles. So much so that Abdullah, as it was reported to me, told Sheikh Rabi, Sheikh, do you want to know what he's been saying about you? Sheikh Rabi told Abdullah that he was foolish. This was witnessed by the brothers. But you don't hear this from Abdullah. You don't hear from Abdullah when he was being corrected in Medina, when he tried to give a khutbah in Brixton, in which he didn't sit between the khutbah, he didn't sit at all, and he was warning about Abdul haqq and stuff to the Amat and Nas. They didn't even know who Abdul haqq was. The people who attend the masjid are not all Salafi. They're just the regular people who are coming. You'll hear this from our brothers who come on next from the UK, who will give a historical perspective about things that happened in Medina, and more about how disingenuous and hypocritical some of these individuals are. So I want to highlight again, from a historical perspective, my brothers, up until the point of Oasis and the Maktaba, the brothers were together. I've spoken well of Abu Hakim, Yusuf Bowers, and I will say now, even if they decide to continue their slander and negative statements, I'm not getting into that. These were brothers who we were close with and got on very, very well with. And I'll say this as well. There are even some individuals here in Saudi who are die-hard Maktaba Salafiyya individuals. And we speak and we joke and we laugh. We don't get into issues. And there are individuals like that in London. So I won't say that we have ta'assub or hatred towards some of the regular people in Maktaba Salafiyya. No. We don't agree with them on certain issues, but what I do take issue with, those at the helm, and sadly, Abu Hakim is seen as being at the helm, but really, he's one of the lackeys, he's one of the foot soldiers, because these names are not down on the documents where these individuals have ownership of things, ownership of businesses. You'll see that it's Wahid Alam, Abu Khadija, Amjad Rafiq, and if you don't mind, I will call him the Milk Sheikh in a respectable way, because his P.H.D was in about unpasteurized milk, and in the West, people with PhDs are called scholars. So because his qualification is in milk, I will call him the milkshake. Unfortunately, I think he's lactose intolerant because of the amount of verbal diarrhea that he's been writing and pushing out, and it's non-stop and it's the same thing over and over again. And I know that the night shift is not partisan, so excuse me for saying this. If you want to bring others on from them who want to attack me, no problem. But the point that I want to make here, the issue is with the lies, the cultish mentality, the distortion to the ulama that they go to, so that everyone is browbeaten and lied about. I'm learning about the slander that has been done to Shadid Muhammad and what he had to endure. I'm seeing what they've done to students of knowledge, talented students of knowledge who come from the UK and from America. And if they don't join or toe the Maktaba Salafiyya line, they're written off. And you may say this is all speculation. So far I've been producing evidence to you on things that have happened. The lectures that I did in Birmingham, the Junaid, the Abu Junaid paper that we've written about Brixton, about the certificates that Abdullah himself took part in, and now he's trying to whitewash as though he's always been away from that and he's always been clear and he's always been with Maktaba Salafiyah. We need to highlight these things, but I'll give you something else which you need to know. There was an individual from America, you may be able to correct me if I'm wrong, done in the Jamia many name Hernando or Hernandez. This individual was given responsibility for screening the CVs or receiving the CVs
Abdul
for
haqq.
individuals from the West who wanted to study.
Abdul haqq, say that name. Say that name again.
Hernandez or Hernando.
Okay.
He studied in Medina for a while.
Okay.
He was, as I said, he was given responsibility. Now I'm taking this from the second in the chain of narration, okay? He was at my home a week ago and studied in the Jamia as well. The responsibility was then handed over to Abu Hakim Bilal Davis when Hernando or Hernandez went back to the States for whatever reason. What then happened, and we witnessed this in the UK, is that when the people from Medina came to interview candidates for Medina, they only went to Birmingham. And I was wondering why, but I learned why last week. And that was because Abu Hakim Bilal Davis would only filter through CVs of people that were with them. And I know this because one brother went to them with a CV of someone from Luton. I know the name of the individual and the certificate. And Abu Hakim said, yeah, I know this person, he's not from us. So the brother said, what should I do with this? He said, I don't know. The brother had to put the CV to the side because Abu Hakim would not put through any other CV other than those who were with or sympathetic to the Maktaba. This is how Farouk, rahimahullah, from London got through as well. So this was the sort of gatekeeping that was taking place in Medina from Abu Hakim at those times. Now, some recordings are going to be coming out and other evidence is going to be coming out, I'm sure, from brothers in the States and brothers in the UK about how this cult has behaved. And what we need to know, brothers and sisters, and what we need to know is that the history, again, didn't start with these individuals. They go back to the Abul Hassan occasion. And the Abul Hassan occasion, I've done a recording on this, it's there on YouTube. The Abul Hassan occasion took place when they were the ones who came to Brixton with that buyer Farouk, rahimahullah, and Amir Bashir, Abu Ubaidah, who came and gatecrashed the meeting that we were having after meeting the Sheikh and introducing him what the seminar and the conference was going to be about. And they came and said, we can be off of Salafi publications.
Okay, you breaking up here. Abdul
haqq.
Abdul haqq. You were breaking up there with Abu Hassan. Okay, can you go back to Abu Hassan? Can you go back to the Abu Hassan occasion?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. When Abu Hassan came to the UK, there was a lot from the Salafis, including Maktaba Salafiyah, because everyone had heard the recording of Abul Hassan with Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah. So when Abul Hassan was to the UK, Salafi publication sent two of their representatives who were in London, Farouk, rahimahullah, and Amir Bashir, Abu Ubaidah. And they came to the masjid as we were introducing Abul Hassan to the program of the conference. And they presented a letter to him from Salafi publication. And this letter began, words of praise from. And it listed all of the shuyukh who had praised Salafi publication. Then they asked Abul Hassan to get involved in dealing with a dispute between them and Luton. Now, Abul Hassan looked at that and he agreed to do this. Now, Brixton wasn't mentioned, and we complained to Abul Hassan saying, we didn't want to bring this up, we just want to get on with the conference. And he said, I am your guest here, and I want to do what I can to resolve this whatever fitna. So we said, if you're going to do that, Abul Hassan, then you need to give us a separate time to sit. So there's 3 groups. But Abul Haqq refused. He said, after listening to Luton, he met with them. After listening initially to Birmingham, I see that you are closer with Luton, so we're going to put you and Luton together as one group, because you're close, you brothers get on, and Maktab al-Salafiyah as the other group. And we accepted that reluctantly. Now, after a series of meetings and arbitration and discussion, Abul Hassan, Salim al-Hilali, Dr. Jibali, Hafidahullah, may Allah aid him and cure him, Ameen.
Ameen.
They then put some points and they rang Sheikh Rabi' from the masjid. Now, when they rang Sheikh Rabi', they faxed through what they suggested as an agreement. Now, Sheikh Rabi' received the fax and he was talking on the phone. As they were speaking, Sheikh Rabi' said he'd written up and he'd written an agreement or an endorsement of points. Now, he couldn't fax it to Brixton. This is the idiosyncrasy of Brixton. Our fax could send faxes, but we couldn't receive. I then gave number. I rang some brothers who had this hardware store on the high road. And I said, get the Sheikh is there, I will go and collect the fax. So I went personally, collected the fax that was from Sheikh Rabi', me. I bear witness to that. Then I brought it back to Abul Hassan, Salim al-Hilali and Dr. Jibali, who were on the phone. They were still on the phone to Sheikh Rabi'. Hafidahullah. I then gave them the fax. I don't speak Arabic, but I could see they were saying we've received it, they read the points and everything like that. And I saw that they were relaxed, that he endorsed the point, stamped, everything like that. Now, I don't want to go into all of this, but when he then sat with all of us privately, went through the points, read what Sheikh Rabi' had said, it was upon that all of us, Brixton included, said, okay, if Sheikh Rabi' has endorsed this, then we are okay to go with it. There was some admonition of us and admonition of Maktab al-Salafiyah. Unsurprisingly, Abu Khadija didn't turn up for that. He gave an excuse that he had to travel to Kuwait the next day. You'll hear that on the recording. Amir Bashir disappeared when we were all called to sit and speak and show that we couldn't. No sooner had that agreement been signed and agreed, Murad al-Jazair travelled out to Saudi Arabia and came and visited Sheikh Rabi'. He was initially held and arrested at the airport, but then a phone call to Sheikh Rabi' because he said he was a student of his. Because of Sheikh Rabi', mashallah tabarakallah, he was released. He went and visited Sheikh Rabi'. Now, brothers, this is a serious point I'm mentioning here, what we want to consider. Because the Maktaba were not happy with the agreement, and yes, maybe there were some areas that were considered flawed, which was the main thing. You cannot limit that everyone goes back to the 2 sheikhs, Sheikh Salim al-Hilali and Sheikh Ali Hassan. This is a form of Hizbiyah, and it was admonished. Now, fine, we accept, no problem. But Sheikh Rabi' had seen that and endorsed it. The point that's key here now is this is where the Maktaba got its strength from. Because they were able to Rabi'.
Okay, you broke up there. Say that again. They were aiding who?
They were able to convince Sheikh Rabi' that the agreement was wrong and had flaws, and let's say that's correct, but then they were able to make the sheikh, a senior sheikh like Sheikh Rabi', renege, go back on something he had endorsed. Now think about it, Ikhwan. Think about it, sisters. If you are able to make a senior scholar go back on something that he has read, endorsed, spoken to students of knowledge, if you like, or scholars, junior scholars, what power does that give to the individuals that they can influence a decision in that way? From that point, it was downhill. Any scholar, any student of knowledge could be, after seeing the reality of this cult, understand one thing as well. Sheikh Yahya al-Hajuri.
Okay.
He came over. He was.
Okay,
Now,
you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
That's one.
You're breaking up.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you better. Inshallah ta'ala. Go back to Sheikh Yahya al-Hajuri. What?
When Sheikh Yahya al-Hajuri came to the UK and visited Birmingham, he was so impressed with these brothers that he actually gave a full detailed account that became a book in praise of these brothers. Okay? He visited us in Brooklyn, spent time with us in Brixton, did lectures, but he clearly favored and liked Maktaba Salafiyya, mashallah, tabarakallah. I'm not going to get into the ins and outs, but it's for individuals to look and see. How is it that Sheikh Yahya went from being like that with Maktaba Salafiyya to where he is now? I don't know. I'm not going to profess that I know. But I want to show and see people to see something. The Shayukh, including Abu Anas in Kuwait, including the Jordanian Mashaykh, including other Shayukh, how is it that after being with the Maktaba, seeing them, how is it that they're in the position that they're in now and that they're mainly with 4 Mashaykh? How is that? That's for others to look at and to question. Can it actually be that all this host of Shuyukh are astray? Yeah, there are clearly errors. We've seen with Abdul haqq and others and stuff like that. We've seen this. And Shuyukh have spoken. But is Maktaba Salafiyya infallible? Are they ma'soom? And when criticized, it doesn't matter who it is, student of knowledge, scholar or otherwise. Because of the power that they've got now, in the fact that they were able to make a senior scholar on something he'd written, they now have them or against them, and they will
Abdul haqq.
The church.
Abdul haqq.
Now
go. You're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
Go back to when you were saying that how they were able to have power to make a senior scholar renege. You started breaking up.
Now,
okay.
I say that the point that they were able to make a senior scholar like Sheikh Rabi' go back on an agreement that he himself endorsed. This gave them license to do whatever they wanted, including lying against other scholars, students of knowledge, anyone who opposed them. Anyone who opposed them. And that's the unfortunate circumstance we see today. And you'll see that those of weaker disposition, who are scared of them, will toe the line. So much so that we're hearing, and Sheikh Salim confirmed this in the Brixton conference, that he was told, Sheikh Ali Hassan was told by Sheikh Rabi' that if you don't bring down Abdul Hassan, I will bring you down. And how many times are we hearing that now from others who were warned with this? How many times are we seeing this cult browbeat and threaten others with it? That if they don't toe the line, and lie upon them as well. And this is what we're seeing. So my thing here again, the history of Salafiyya, up until this point, it was growing. We were being attached to the scholars. We were one brotherhood, even though there were issues amongst us, we were together. Abu Khadija, for me, is one of the self-defining points in time when fitna started growing and things started splitting up and going worse. Others will disagree with me, especially from the cults. But again, I say, our brothers in Birmingham, like Abdul haqq and individuals like these, they were shining lights amongst us. We were close with them. If they see this, I say to them as brothers, what went wrong? Why did they go down this way? Was it fame? Was it money? What did Abu Khadija show? Hassan Somali, when he started practicing the deen and came to Brixton, he was an individual of very nice, soft, gentle character. He was likable. saw that he was leaning towards Maktaba Salafiyah, but he was still someone who showed a lot of respect. I haven't spoken to him for years, but what I hear from him in America surprises me. It's almost as though he's not the same person that we knew. Abu Ziyad, Amjad Rashid, I know people who were close to him. A talented, sincere individual. I say that knowing that he's written 29 pages or more against me. All the slanders there is about him, knowing that and that those who know him and are close to him, that he's a very good brother. But I'm not going to ask what happened there. Some said they saw the change 10 years ago, whatever. So my point is, this cult and what it stands for and the damage that it's done, those who are scared to speak against it, seeing that there's evil being done, they need to question themselves and fear Allah. Those who are in the cult, brothers who before were close to other brothers like Abdul haqq and others, they don't need Abu Khadija. They don't need these other individuals because of their talent, because of their ability, because of their charisma. So my question would be, why? Why is that happening? And to show you, that's one, a bit hot here, to show you how just we try to be. Abdul haqq started an organisation in Birmingham to counter radicalisation. My organisation, Street, was well known at that time as well. I met one of the young brothers who were with Abdul haqq, and I praised the organisation, and to those who were looking to fund the organisation, I said to them, fund this organisation, because these individuals are Salafi, know how to counter radicalisation, they know how to move forward. And I said to the young individual, I said to him, what I want you to do, come and meet the brothers in Brixton. Ignore any kalam from me and any kalam from the elders from you. Come and meet the younger brothers because you have a lot in common, and don't let the issues that we are involved in become your issues. I said to the individual, and recently, I think he studied in Makkah, he contacted me. And he said, do you remember me? Can you remember the advice you gave me? Because this is about Salafiyah. This is about the dawah. This is about the truth. Not about personality. Not about financial gain. Not about status. But sadly, the level and intensity of this cult is they cannot come off what they are on. But there are people among them who can come away from that. Can come away from that. And we hope that they do. But let me say this as well, and I'll be back up. Excuse me. Even on the flip side, I'll give advice to the brothers that I know from Brixton. They've coin some of the maktaba and the making while I was chairman, while I was going backwards and forth between the shield. I said to some of the criticisms are valid. There are certain statements and things you need to be clear, and you're not making them to clear yourself.
Abdul haqq, you're breaking up. Abdul haqq. Abdul haqq, the connection is not good. You're breaking up. Can you go back to the valid points that the brothers at Maktaba Salafiyah had towards Brixton? Go back there. Start back there, inshallah. Can you hear me?
Points about me?
No, you were saying. You were saying that there were some valid points that Maktaba Salafiyah had towards towards the brothers in Brixton. You said that there were some valid criticism points or something like that. Could you go back there?
Some of the points I can. Some of the points that the Maktaba were making against us, I was saying to the brothers while I was here in Saudi, some of the points are valid. You need to make yourself clear on particular points. Not everything the Maktaba was saying. Particular points. What is your position on this? What is our position on that? And I found that some of my brothers were being slow, were trying to avoid it. So much so that some of the brothers who were leaning towards the Maktaba, like Abu Ziyad, who was out here, Saudi, would say, Abdul haqq, leave them. Be away from them. Be with us. Because he could see that I was trying to get them to come to the table to say, make your position clear. And I said to them, if it's this or it's that, make your stance clear with ilm. Don't sit on the fence. So there were a few things, not everything. There were a few things that Maktaba Salafiyah was saying, Make yourself clear on this. And those were valid points. Those were valid points. But the lies that came after that from Maktab al-Salafiyah, the lies from Abdul haqq and the individuals there, that's when I think Brixton, others said no. These individuals have an agenda, that everything they're saying is correct, and they will many Maktab al-Salafiyah. Their share, if you want our share, Ahmed ibn Hadi and criticize them. Sheikh Khalid
Abdul haqq.
Go criticize them.
Abdul haqq, you breaking up. Connection breaking up.
Yes.
Go back to when you said the lies of the Mektaba.
The lies from the Mektaba is that they would be going to the Shuyukh, Sheikh Rabi'. They'd be going to them and lying about brothers and lying about position. For example, they would say they are with Abul Hassan. They went longer. We even gave a khutbah the week afterwards, saying no one is adhering to the Abul Hassan agreement anymore because they were
All right, you breaking up.
Hold up, Abdul haqq. One moment.
and no longer endorses the agreement.
Abdul haqq. Now, Abdul.
That was done in the
I can't really hear you.
Can't really hear you.
Gotta wait till the connection is better.
But Maktab al-Salafiyah, to this day,
Abdul haqq.
haven't said that. They're with Abul Hassan. They're with Abul Hassan.
It's the connection. Abdul haqq. Abdul haqq.
Afwan,
Nah, the connection messed up. You was telling us how y'all made a khutbah that gave a sermon that week after freeing yourselves or mentioning that Brixton was no longer involved with the agreement of Abu Hassan because Sheikh Rabi' so on and so forth. Okay, can you start right there? You broke up from there.
that's right. Yes, so Brixton made it clear the moment we heard that Sheikh Rabi' had reneged on endorsing the agreement. We gave a khutbah. Abu Mariam, Brother Samir from Brixton, gave a khutbah that we were no longer with the agreement based on Sheikh Rabi' withdrawing his endorsement. That was at the time it happened. So now, why 20 years later, the Maktaba still lie saying Brixton Abul Hassan, Brixton Abul Hassan, which is a clear lie. Why? Because all it does is it endorses them in front of Sheikh Rabi' and others. And you may say, why didn't you go back and tell Sheikh Rabi'? We did. But when you've got this cult almost living at the doorstep of Sheikh Rabi' and always lying back with a counter narrative, the Sheikh's going to listen to the one who's speaking the loudest and visiting the most regular. This is what these individuals did.
Okay,
The
so
Sheikh was in
Abdul
Baghdad
haqq,
in the
my
first
question
place.
to you:
Now,
Did at any time, did you or any of your associates went to any other mashayikh besides these mashayikh, besides Sheikh Rabi', besides Sheikh Muhammad Hadi, Sheikh Ubaid? Did you go to any other senior scholars outside of them? You know, and try to describe what was going on in terms of the Mektab in Brixton, in UK?
yes. So Allah one Sheikh got to know as well who these individuals made what's the about. Some of the brothers went to Abu Sheikh in Riyadh, and that's why I want Talib, Abu Safiya, and the Iqwar, they're going to speak because they were here.
Okay.
Even we used to go to So we went to other mashayikh, but it became very clear. It became very clear that those mashayikh, and this is where I want to address this issue with Sheikh Muhammad ibn Hadi. When I met Sheikh Muhammad ibn Hadi in Medina, the first time was in his local masjid. And when I met him, some of the Maktabah lot knew that I was going to be there. And they came. The Sheikh was very wise, mashallah, because he started praising Brixton and the work we were doing, because we had been fighting against the extremism after 9/11. And he kept saying, mashallah, Abdul haqq in the news, fighting Ilhad, the news was saying this, the news was saying that. And he explained to me privately why he did that, to show the brothers that he was favourable of Brixton. That's one sitting I had with him. The other sitting, as I've mentioned in my recording, I sat with him while another brother who knew him well taught his son English in the next room. And we were trying to understand each other, and the main thing he was saying to me was, look, be patient with Maktab al-Salafiyya, work with them, and I kept saying, la, they're his. You know, shidda. All the basic words I knew. But he kept insisting, work with them, be patient, they're your brothers, go and visit Abu Khadija. And for about 20 minutes I said, no way. In the end, I agreed. I said, when I visit the UK for holiday, I will visit him. When I got to Britain, I told the brothers, the Sheikh had asked me to ring and make a meeting with them. I called up there. I don't know who it was I spoke to. Maybe Yunus. I'm not sure. But Abu Khadija, they kept telling me he's busy this day, busy that day, busy this day. So I said, okay, khalas, I'm not going to be begging and trying to make an appointment or something, some malik. I returned to Saudi. Now, Sheikh Mohammed, I heard after that, when he met some of the brothers, I asked him to have to do something, he didn't do it. So I passed a message to a brother who was meeting the Sheikh. Tell the Sheikh I tried to arrange to meet Abu Khadija, but he was too busy, or so they told me. Now, to hear after that years later, the Sheikh slandering me, I say it as it is, Abdul haqq is untruthful, such and such and such and such. I said, hold on a minute, I've only met him 2 or 3 times. Where is the untruth? Where is the untruth? So then I wrote to him, and I asked the brother Saudi to translate it. The letter was delivered personally to Sheikh Mohammed's house. And in that letter, and I won't go into the detail, I basically asked him for his evidence of the slander, and if he didn't, because we're in Saudi Arabia and the Sharia dictates, I will have no choice but to go to court to get my haqq. I didn't hear anything back from the Sheikh within the time that I asked. I gave even more time. I prolonged the time, still heard nothing back from the Sheikh. And then I decided I'm going to court, and I asked my lawyer, Salafi brother, to go to court, and that's what I did. So now, based on that, Abu Iyad, our milk sheikh, wants to say Abdul haqq is established as a liar. But I want to put this fact to today. Allah establishes the haqq, mashallah, tabarakallah. When the hujjah is established, as the brother told me today, after the hujjah comes the decision. And we see that someone greater than myself, I'm nobody, somebody greater than myself, Sheikh Ibrahim Ruhaili, won his court case against Sheikh Muhammad ibn Hadi for what? Slander. So now, are they still going to be calling me a liar when their sheikh has been proven in the court to be a slanderer? And he was sentenced to particular dictates that should happen, but they were commuted because one of the princes got involved and asked Sheikh Muhammad ibn Hadi and Sheikh Ibrahim al-Ruhaili to sign an agreement which contained clauses of not speaking negatively. This is what's come to me by trustworthy individuals from Medina. But still, they persist in slandering me despite the fact that their sheikh has been established to be slandering someone else. And this is cultism. This is how cultism acts. It's blind, it's ear. In the deeper sense of his ear. I wasn't calling it his ear before because about partisanship at a shallow level. But this cultism is the deepest form of Hizbiyah. And Amjad Rafiq, Abu Khadija, Abdul haqq, Abu haqq, Abu Yusuf Fawad. I know the brother America, so I can't mention them in their detail, but they are all prescribers of this, and they will not leave it unless Allah wills. But those who are scared of them, and you'll see those who are scared of them are of weaker disposition or of more ignorant disposition in their learning, as I mentioned scientifically, in the early stages where they don't have much knowledge, where they have to look for a personality to lead them, they cannot make decisions for themselves, they're scared because of the environment, so they have no choice but to follow those who bully, browbeat and scare them, and give them some sense of ownership and belonging. Those personalities who are following this cult need to look at the destruction that they've caused in their own environment. And you in America know it only too well. We know it in the UK, and we know it here. So I've given you a bit of a historical perspective leading up to before the time. And will we ever go back to that time? Allah knows best. But among them are some good brothers. What has happened to them and why they've become the way they are, Allah knows best. But on the other side, on the flip side, I say to Brixton, them sitting on the fence or sitting silently, thinking silence is the way they need to proceed and keep their heads in the sand, that's also not the right way. Because we know Salafiyah is clear. Salafiyah is wajib. So I'm looking at both sides now, one side that I belong to, and saying that way isn't the correct way. And those who know me know that I have issues with Brixton and they have issues with me. But not as big as my issues with this cult. So they can continue lying, slandering, what they say concerning me doesn't bother me. After what I've gone through with the Takfiris, the battle I've waged with them, this cult is a bit in the dark, to be honest with you. But I say to others, among them, there's some good brothers among you, sincere brothers among you. What happened? What happened? Was it deen, or was it other than deen that has enticed you to go in the way of the cult? And the cult being ran and dictated to and controlled by individuals like Abu Khadija and Abu Iyad and one or two others. What is it you've got from them? They're running and pulling all the purse strings, and I've seen letters for purchase of £650,000 buildings and stuff like that, and your names aren't on it. What is it? Because they've given you a shop in Birmingham. They're giving you a little bit of money, a little bit of fame, access to systems. What is it that has made you become the puppet masters, or the puppet, sorry, the puppet masters? The fitna, as far as I'm concerned, and I maintain that academically, deen-wise, until anyone shows me contrary, started, but it became worse when Abu Khadija came into the mix. That's when I saw things start going from bad to worse. And he came at a time and capitalized on the time that we were moving away from Jamaat. There was a lot of splitting, there was uncertainty, and it wasn't against each other, it was against Jamaat. Abu Khadija then came among us and turned us against each other. Allah Musta'an. If you have any questions around things, I will answer to the best of my capability, well, inshallah.
I do have a question that I would like to, obviously you'll have the more historical background. Obviously when they got here, I see it as a foreign invasion personally. You know what I mean? But as far as the Mektaba itself, those brothers there, even the brothers in America and stuff like that, who are connected all together like that, are they the ones feeding their particular scholars who they're around, feeding a narrative to them, or is it that they're learning these things from those scholars, or they're all just feeding off each other?
I think it's the latter. They're feeding off each other. And let me mention this now. When Mashaykh, with the exception of Sheikh Rabi', Hafidahullah, have no official status in their land. No official status. I know this from Riyadh, okay? They have no official status. No masjid, anything like that. So where their status has been elevated abroad, and in turn, those who've elevated their status have been able to build on the back of that to say, we are in touch with these mashayikh, this is the level of contact we have with the mashayikh. It gives those individuals in the West status as well. So that feeding off each other is something that's been taking place. As you know, as I know, there are business interests there now. And I asked the question, I still ask the question to the Muslims, how does that work? Because with those business interests, will the Sheikh ever talk against you? Because of this conflict of interest? As I said, it's a question, and it's not an insult or an attack on the shuyukh. But feeding off each other in this particular way is something that has taken place. And what has happened is that these shuyukh have been elevated more so than the kibar, and they're referred to more so than the kibar by this cult. So you've got the cult followers and those individuals believing that the cults are in touch with senior ulama who have high status and ranking in Saudi Arabia, with the exception of Sheikh Rabi' Hafizahullah, who doesn't have an official position either. Not that that means anything in totality, but it means something in this Balad al-Tawheed in Saudi Arabia. And I'll come to another thing. When we're talking about principles, we've recently seen that the Mufti of Saudi Arabia has officially given license to Sheikh Yahya al-Hajuri to teach in Makkah. Officially, that's there.
Well, I don't think it was the Mufti. I think it was the head of the Ministry of Dawah, Sheikh Saleh and Sheikh Abdul. No.
The minister of Islamic Affairs, Malish.
No.
The minister of Islamic Affairs, who is no small individual, has given permission to Sheikh Yahya al-Hajuri to teach. The minister of Islamic Affairs was seen recently in a selfie with Sheikh Ali Hassan Abdul Hamid from last year's Hajj.
Halabi.
Sheikh Ali. Sheikh Abdul Abbas himself stated that he did not see Abul Hassan al-Ma'ribi as a Muqtadi. Now, I'm not talking about my positions about these three shuyukh. I'm talking about official Saudi shuyukh holding position, taking these positions with the three individuals that they and their scholars have gone out against in a big way. My question is this: by their principle, should they not then do refutation upon Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Abbad, upon the Minister of Islamic Affairs? Should they not then do refutation on these two shuyukh because of the position that they've taken and the authority they have given? I'm asking this question.
Okay.
Why have they not made tabdir on Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Abbad based on their principles? Them and the scholars that they follow. I want that question answered.
So Abdul Haqq Baker.
And if it counts now.
Now, my question to you is, at any time from the 1990s to, the fitna that happened, since the fitna of Abu Hassan Ma'ribi, and, at any time with Halabi, Sheikh Ali, did any of the scholars tell you, the people from UK, to familiarize yourself with the qawaid of Halabi and Ma'ribi, the principles of Halabi and Ma'ribi, and to teach it to your communities about these individuals' principles, and to teach them about Abu Hassan as well as Sheikh Ali? Did any scholars tell you to do that?
Never. No one has come and told us to do that at any set time.
So
and this is the problem.
Okay.
Now, possible.
Where do you, besides the fact that Sheikh Rabi' take a stance, and some other scholars we know take a stance against these scholars, where is it that any other scholars tell the people in the West to really busy themselves with these particular scholars and their principles?
I have not seen it at all. What I've seen the scholars telling us is to address the affairs, the social, educational affairs of our community. And unfortunately, what we've seen, and I want to raise it because something has come about very recently, and I don't know the ins and outs, but it's just the news is breaking. We've seen how the community around Newman Ali Khan have censured and dealt with him because of some alleged improprieties with women. Yet in our Salafi communities, we've seen sisters and children abused, married, dumped, paedophilia, and if they happen to belong to or affiliate with a particular section of or community like this cult, it's swept under the carpet and it's not being addressed at all.
SubhanAllah.
So, what is this that our issues, our social issues, if we look at the Salafi communities in the West, whether they are African Caribbean, African American, Asian, Arab, when we look at our communities, we are behind all of the other communities. They have social programs and the like. But hold on a minute now, because when you look at Maktab al-Salafiyya and the cult, Abdul Wahid Alam, Abu Khadija, Astamani in America, Abu Iyad, they're making money and making business. Now we see they've got the alternative medicine business that they want to be doing. They're making money, they've got schools, they're making business. I'm all right, Jack. But when you look at the communities that they are pushing their cults through, we've got broken communities that have not progressed in 20 years. We look at the other communities and they are progressing. We look at impropriety in other communities and the communities step in and address them. But we can have people abusing sisters and abusing children, but because they belong to the cult, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. How is that equality?
So basically what you're saying is that we have the same problem here. Obviously in America we have people in control of our affairs who are connected to the particular people. We know their names. We know who they are. We find them having businesses. We find them having money, having things like that. But the community that they're in charge of is poor, high divorce rates, broken, high drug rates, in and out of hijab, in and out of salat, in and out of high sin rates and things like that. But we see the top level of the people with wealth and with way to take care of themselves. But the lower banner of the people, the whole communities are broken and shattered into schisms and all types of other things. So it's the same blueprint.
You know what it reminds me of, my brothers? And you would know this from the States. You know when the government flooded the black communities with alcohol and off licenses on every corner, and then they infiltrated them with crack cocaine.
Yes.
Certain people benefited while they kept the people down. What they've done this with the reputation culture and writing people off and making people forget. They've done that. That's been the crack cocaine and the alcohol of the Salafi community.
So you're saying that the refutation culture that they brought to the United States with them, because it only started when Salafi publications came, really. So when you're saying when that refutation culture came into our communities, it basically did the same effect as crack cocaine did.
Yes.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
SubhanAllah.
Barakallahu fiqh. So what would be some of the, what would be some of the remedies to really eradicate or to detach itself from this type of a mentality or this cultish behavior, or how do one, for the non-defiled Muslim, for the layman, how do one discern to be able to differentiate between what is actually correct and what is actually being propagated from people that they have come to love or even come to trust over the past 22 years?
What we need to do is remove the focus on this cult. Stop giving them oxygen. Stop being afraid of your name being slandered, dragged through the dirt or whatever. Allah is the one who honors and Allah is the one who debases. And it doesn't matter if they're going to write 100 pages against you. You know who you are and you know which scholars you need to go to. There are not 4 scholars in the whole of the world. Okay? You need to get something from the ulama, You've got the kibar who you can go directly to. In America, you've got a number of very good students of knowledge who have graduated. Those who are keeping their noses clean and keeping their heads down, they have access to the scholars. They can read any scholar because they have the language. What you need to do is throw off this yoke of hizbiyah, this extreme hizbiyah, this cultism. Move away from this cultish following, referring to Abu Khadija. Who is he? Where did he study? What are his qualifications? And the other individuals, Hassan Somali, Abu Hakim, if they continue with this. I have some hope for people like Hassan Somali and Abu Hakim, if they listen and have some sincerity in them, that they will see what has happened among themselves. And some of them, like Abdul haqq, have strong enough character. He comes from the road, he comes from a street background. He knows what that's like. Abu Khadija maybe comes from high school or something like that and doesn't even know the gutter like some of us do. So we have a resolve on survival. We have an ability to discern what is right, what is wrong. We are not cult followers or personality followers. We've been through too much for that before we became Muslims to go down this road. So they need to start looking at their community, those who are bent in the community, looking at the social things that need to be done, the development that needs to be done to themselves and to the community, to their children. They need to start building. We need to start having proper schools, proper massages, learning proper schools and how to participate and be ambassadors in our society. Not like the Amish and this insular, idiosyncratic communities who are just talking about reputation. The boat's gone by and we as Salafis are now being called extremists. And we haven't even properly to say Salafiyah does not equate to extremism. Because we've been too busy looking at the cult and who is off and who is on and being scared that if we